Okay, can we make a start, please? That's better. Okay, welcome to you all. Pleased to see some new members attending tonight. Tonight we have Ant and Mike Pritchard from Tamiya Trucks, and I put a brief bit in the Gazette about Tamiya Trucks and what's sort of developing. After our exhibition, I was speaking to Ant, and it became apparent that Tamiya Trucks, although as far as we see it, is a fantastic organisation, when they go to exhibitions, they don't have a base. And it's more or less a collection of individuals that come together. And we've discussed having a base at the Puffin Field, and Tamiya Trucks, the members becoming members of our club, something along those lines. What's interesting was that Ant told me that if we have something like that in the Puffin Field, it will be the only one in the south of England. The nearest one is Peterborough. So that's it'll be quite unique. And of course it will be another discipline to the club and attract perhaps the younger members, without a doubt. So what I'm going to do now is hand you over to Ant and Mike to give us a demonstration and a talk on what these things are all about. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone. Right, so as you've most recently seen, we've been coming to your exhibition now for, well, I've been coming there 2007, I think. First one when we were at the old school, we were running around outside underneath the canopy thing, we made up a track and stuff like that. And yeah, we've been coming ever since with the layout, since we've been up at this Townsend school here. And as you've seen, since we've started, the layout's grown, and the visitors, especially the kids, just love sitting there watching it. You know, sometimes we're driving around and they're sitting there for a couple of hours, just sat there, mesmerised by it all. So it definitely shows that it's something for the younger generation who really want to get into, and actually kind of like, as I say, bring more younger people in, because engineering inside, it's great. I'm a model maker. My profession is model maker, professional model maker. So I make things from, used to make toys, sort of like the Action Man and Doctor Who toys, right up to where we're working now, where we're making full-size cars. If you've ever seen the McLaren Speedtail, that was a model that we made in 9 weeks, fully working doors, engine, everything. That was built in 9 weeks. So it's changed from making toys to full-size cars now. So it's it's quite a leap in technology what we do now. So yeah, you might tell, but that as well, there's a lot of electronics work with that. So but anyway, so yeah, with the trucks again, electronics are involved. So also the building, they all start out as a kit that you have to build. The instruction books at Tamiya supply are very comprehensive really on the build process. You can get some kits which are already pre-built and also pre-painted. So if you're not really that up for painting, then you can already get a kit that's still needs put together, but you don't have to paint it. Some people find painting to be a little off-putting, find the time to do it, and the resources of space as well. But say all my trucks are pretty much all built and things. The King Hauler down the end there, that is one of the oldest trucks that we have. We got that in 1994. So, and then one of my other trucks, and it's still running. It's still running with the original Tamiya sound set, which came out in 2001, and that's still running in there as well. So that's the sound unit is 17 years old now. But yeah, that truck, we got that in 94. Yeah. So that's how long we've been doing radio control trucks. 94, 95 is when we got our first trucks. we didn't have the money to buy trailers, so we built trailers out of Meccano. It's all out Dad's thing. We built trailers, put our radio control cars on the back and driving around that. But then obviously over the years it's progressed to putting children on the back of trailers, to putting little kids on the back of trailers now. Yeah. So let's say it's I had a bit of a break for a few years where we did robot wars and things like that. But in 2005 started getting back into the trucks again, and that's when 2010 was when I first came up with the idea of actually building our own layout. There wasn't many layouts around the country at that time. There's a lot more now, where they go around to shows. I based mine kind of like on the German setup because it's so more detailed than quite a few other English layouts that were before it. So I had all the extra details with the trees and obviously all the, as you've seen, the Meccano bridges that my dad's built up, and all the lights, all the traffic lights. That kind of brings it more into a 3D world, which I think brings the kids in.
Well, that's that, and also we try to keep it interactive as well. So like there's a pedestrian crossing that we actually have the button children walk up to, interact with that, and they can see, that's actually a way of, we're stopping the trucks now.
They use it for game, don't they?
They do, they find it hilarious. But it's a way of keeping the interaction between the audience and the participants actually on the layout itself. So it just keeps it kind of flowing a bit more for the day.
Yeah, so as I say, so the history behind us, we've been doing the layout side of it now for 9 years. Yeah, it'll be 9 years this February, like now.
Yeah.
The first outing we did was at the Brighton Model World. Again, that was a show which I did for, since 2000 I've been doing that show, so it's quite sad to see that one go. Shows the way it's going. There's a lot of exhibitions seem to be disappearing. It's a bit of a shame, really, isn't it? But maybe you notice that as well. It's just getting less and less, getting harder to actually get out there and show what we do as a hobby. So the trucks you see here, we've got, say, old Mercedes-Benz on the end box truck, which is one we use for the kids to drive around. That's done over 110 hours of driving and its first outing was at St.Albans show in 2014. So that's done about 110 hours worth of driving, and not much maintenance has been done to not touch any paintwork. I made some bumpers out of polycarbonate so as to protect the bodywork, but as you see it there, as it was when I built it into 2014, and I've not done anything to it. So you can see that they do stand up to the punishment that the kids put through it. They say 1994 original King Hauler. We've got the Scania truck there, which is 2004, I think I got that one. And then the Volvo here, which was, again, I modified this one from the standard kit, put the extra set of dolly axle in the front. So it means with the Tamiya trucks, they're kit, but you can modify them a lot. They've got the aluminium chassis on them. You can pretty much do whatever you like. As you might have seen at some of the shows, you've got the truck which is done by Ray, which is the Trojan truck, which is like, as long as you want, it's got 2 trucks either end of it, which is all controlled from one transmitter. Again, that's all been scratch built, but using from standard Tamiya kits. And pretty much it's quite an impressive truck when you see it running around. There's a lot of basically with the trucks, you can do anything you like. You see a real truck on the road, you pretty much can get a kit bash it as they say, and you can turn it into that truck quite easily. There's a lot of accessories out there, and you can pretty much do anything. Tamiya themselves have just brought out a brand new Volvo FH as well, which comes out in March. So that updates their fleet to the more modern day trucks, and the brand new Mercedes Actros.
But it's also nice to see that whilst Tamiya have been sort of building these trucks for such a long time, that they're still actively releasing these things as well. So it's nice to see that, as we've discussed already, there's a lot of stuff that's just dying off. But luckily, for this sort of thing, Tamiya are still actively developing, they're still promoting, they're still making these things, and actually pouring effort into the hobby itself, which is nice to see.
And they're also bringing back, if you've seen some of the old 70s Sam Scorcher, the old free speeders, the Hilux and that, they're bringing those back out again. So it's a bit of a rebuild. It's quite nice to get one of those kits and build it up, because it's all still original. They've not changed it too much from the originals either. That's really good. Right, so should we do some comparisons on electronics with the sounds? So as you can hear this, you've got the hazard lights on that, and then I might turn this transmitter on. So this is the older sound unit. Do you want to bring that track up?
Yeah.
So we run all these now on 2.4 gigahertz. We used to run on 40 meg. Obviously that used to be a right pain when there was like 40 of us driving around on a layout, all battling for pegs. It was a real nightmare, but now with the invention of 2.4, I mean, we first adopted 2.4 gigahertz on the robot, where we actually, as the FRA, had to buy a license to use 2.4 gigahertz in the UK. So we were having to buy a license to actually use 2.4, so it shows you how much it's now changed from the old DSM original to where it is now. So you can say that's the sound from the very first Tamiya unit that they did, which is called the MFC01. So with that you can control the indicators, you can control the lights from the transmitter. You've got the horn as well. So, and then this is, if we turn that one down. So this one works, this is the newer unit. So it's got a bit more modern kind of noises, where you actually have to, so it's got you have to actually start it. So if you tap it once, you won't start, you have to like, you've got the air brakes, got the volume. So you've got the air brakes, the horn, different, but you can actually then change that to different. And then you've also got reversing. And of course the indicator. But with this one here, on the older units, to turn the indicators, you just turn the servo and the indicators work. But on the newer one, you actually have to tap down and then cross to actually get the indicator to work, so it's a little bit more interactive. There's also a feature on this one where you can hold down this stick, hold down this stick here, and you can actually rev. You can actually rev the actual truck as well. So the sounds that they brought out on the trucks, on the newer version, brings more life, more so for the European trucks. It doesn't sound quite right when you've got one of these into the American trucks, because it doesn't quite work as well. And then again, you can control, you can turn it off from the transmitter as well, which is quite good. Again, with the Spectrum, I generally have like 4 or 5 models turned on the layout, and from the transmitter I can then just choose through, select the different model, and so with the police vehicle here, I then come in, and then again this one's now got sound units in there, which you can buy on eBay. All the lights are kind of units that you kind of put together. It's all controlled by turnkey switches, so it basically means you can flick it on and off from the transmitter. And again, this is another great thing that the kids love when they see the police cars going around, especially when we do the chases with one of the other guys around the layout. The kids are just going mad for it. Oh, yeah. So it's another little thing that we've brought in to kind of like make the kids go crazy. There's one show we went down that was down at Southend, and we was running around, and the kids were just jumping around so much. It was just like, it was getting manic, wasn't it? It was just crazy. It really was. But again, so that's the beauty with the 2.4 gigahertz over the 40 meg, is that you can just leave the vehicle on, and you know it's not going to go anywhere, and you can just literally just flip between the models, and away you go. The number of models you can have is endless, really. It's 250, I think. So I'm never going to have that many.
Depends how much your bank account stretches.
Yeah, I never have that many on the layout though. So, yeah, and then also I've got a separate receiver into the trailer, which is a tip trailer for the front of the Volvo. So if I just go back to that one. So with the trailer, That's done by Carson, which is the German arm of Tamiya. These trailers can tip about 10 kilos worth of dirt, which is quite a lot. They're worm drive, so electric rather than the hydraulic ones, which are done by obviously the other German companies, which are a lot of money. You know, some of the diggers that you see at the show, they're average around £8,000 to £10,000. The wheel loaders, they're around £5,000 to £6,000, but they're full hydraulics running at full pressure, and yeah, they're quite impressive little bits of kit. So, as I say, so it's got the worm drive inside. And say this can tip about 10 kilos before it starts to struggle the soil. But just it was at a show just at the weekend where we had a load of plant. We had about a tonne worth of soil that we were moving around the show. We had 4 or 5 diggers loading the tippers on, driving up the ramps and tipping it all off, and creating ramps for then the vehicles, which can some of the off-roading type vehicles, were then driving down the banks that we were making from the soil. So that was quite good fun, really. What we can move generally on a weekend where we do a 2-day show. A good one is this Southern Model Show that we do. We have 2 tonnes of soil, and in that 2 days, so we start about 10 o'clock and we go to about 6 o'clock on Saturday, and then to about 3 o'clock on the Sunday. We shift 2 tonnes of soil from one location to another location. So, as you can see there, we can move, that's with about 8 or 9 trucks, tipper trucks, running backwards and forwards.
How long do your batteries last?
So batteries lasting, if you're constantly driving all the time, about 2 to 3 hours of drive.
I was thinking the tipper truck.
Tipper one,
That's
yeah,
working quite hard.
yeah, that one's not too bad. It depends on how well the battery is. Generally, most of the time I have to do a swap every, if I'm constantly using it, I get about an hour and a half.
Oh.
Of running out, because most of the time it's only when it's clipping up is when it's straining it. But yeah, but most of the time though, you can have one battery in, and if you leave it on like it is at the moment, it's just sitting there idle. You can pretty much get away with 6 hours. So kind of like dipping in and out of it as I flip between the models. I generally have about 3 trucks on and 1 battery in each, and I can pretty much, by bouncing between each of the trucks, I can pretty much just keep going all day without having to change the battery. So they're a lot better. They're 5,000 milliamp nickel metal batteries that I use.
Lithium polymer?
I don't use those. Some of the guys do use those. Again, they get similar sort of runtime. So there's no, with the trucks though, having the lighter battery with the lithium battery doesn't really pay for doing that on the trucks, because actually you want that bit of extra weight to push it down. So it's because most of the time on the most of the trucks it's sat between the front and the rear axle. So it kind of puts that extra bit of weight down where you need it.
And what's the recharge time?
Again, it depends on what kind of charge you're going to do. If you do fast charge, you can do it in an hour, or a slow charge. It's not about. When I have a battery that's gone right down, I'm putting about 4,000 milliamp in it. I normally charge it about 1.2 amp. It takes about 3 hours. So that's why I've got about 8 batteries. So I can pretty much, I've always got a battery there to use. So the battery life is a lot better than it used to be. Remember when we used to run our trucks originally, 20 minutes, and that was it, you know. But now you're looking at a couple of hours of constant running, and that's going up and down the hills, putting a load of soil on the back of it.
And those are all brushless motors, isn't it?
All brushed.
Yeah.
They're brushed ones.
Yeah, all brushed. All brushed. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all brushed motors. The motors that obviously come standard with the kit are just a standard silver cam, which are like a 20-turn motor or something. But they're too quick for the trucks. So what Carson have done, they brought out a motor which is called a poison motor, which is about a 60-turn motor. So that means flat out, it's walking pace. Because the trucks themselves also have a 3-speed gearbox. You can first, second, and third. So you've actually got 3 gears. So as you're driving along, you can be first, change gear as you're driving, and actually then, so first gear, full speed, is so slow. You know, it's what you really want for a truck, especially when you do manoeuvring in reverse and things like that. And then third gear, flat out, it's just a moderate walking pace.
Yeah.
But obviously with the standard motor that's in the truck, third gear, flat out, is actually very, very fast. So they, you know, it's a classic question when you come, how fast does it go? It's ideally with the trucks, you want to be as slow as you go because it's the manoeuvring.
Yeah.
Especially on some of the layouts where we've got the tight turns and that, you want to be able to have control where you're going. And also driving on the right side of the road, you've got trucks coming the other way. So you want to be able to have that control of where you're driving. Because also you've got braking function on it. So when you first pull the lever backwards, that gives you braking. Then you have to come back to centre to then get reverse. So if you're going down the hills, you can hold in gear. So you change like to first gear, if you're going down, hold the brake. Most of the time, especially on the twin axle drive trucks, will hold themselves. Single axle ones like this one, especially when I've got that load of weight on the back of it, generally doesn't hold it. It'll just go down the ramp. Which can be a little bit scary, especially when your battery runs out as you're going up the hill. See, most of the time you still have the steering, so trying to reverse it down as it's going quickly, it gets scary. I've had a few incidences where that's happened, but you have to be quick on the ball and it's pretty good at reversing, so I can most of the time get it back down to the bottom. Okay, I've only been a couple of times jackknifed it going downhill.
Is braking a brake or is it the...
Yes,
It's all done through the actual motor itself, so it's
Yeah,
not
it's okay,
like,
okay.
so it's just basically shorting the poles out in the control room.
yes, that's electronic braking.
Yeah.
Right, so obviously the other one is with some of the trailers we've got the automatic landing legs, so you can drop the trailer off and pick it back up again by dropping the legs.
Yeah, so there's actually a servo located on the actual coupling plate, so you can actually reverse up to it, and that will then engage and disengage for the actual trailer itself. So you can then release the trailer and then just pull off, move across, a different trailer, reattach, off you go again with the new trailer, and the legs will actually put themselves up and down.
And is that a standard feature on all Tamiya models, or is it something?
It's a standard Tamiya part, but it's a hop-up option.
Right.
Yeah, so normally it just comes as a spring release catch where, you know, if you haven't done the upgrade, then you'd be putting your hand down just to not the catch.
Yeah, if you haven't got the upgrade, basically if you've got legs down, you can reverse in and the legs will spring up. But obviously when you want to release, you then have to go and
Yes.
put them down.
But you can do that process entirely remotely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite nice when you've got your trucks out there and no one can see you dropping your trailer off and then going off and picking our trailer up. It really shows, you know, it brings the real world into miniature, which is kind of good, especially when I run around with my forklift as well, which I'm currently fixing. But that's why on this trailer here, I'll show you, this one's got the legs on it. Let's say this trailer here, when I've got the forklift, I can come in, pick up side, and then drop it down, and I can come back in again with the forklift and actually pick it back up. Because the way I've designed it, it's got like a little up-down, so I can then drop it, and then it allows that to drop back into slots. So it means I can load the trailer without getting anywhere near it. And this is so that's it. So that would be controlled. Normally the truck comes into here, we push that little lever there, drops it, and go further all the way down, which then brings it up. And it's got a slip clutch, so it doesn't, and then when you pull it back, it then sits like that. So it's just a simple little, and then it gets stuck. So I don't, yeah.
You mentioned Tamiya repeatedly, or are there any other manufacturers?
So, Tamiya are the main manufacturer of the trucks. Wedico is the other big one in Germany, but theirs is 1/16 scale, whereas Tamiya is 1/14 scale. There are other companies that have, I forget what there is, but they've copied the Tamiya trucks very closely. They're cheaper, but they are a proper copy of it, so I don't know how they get away with it, but they have done on the trailers and the trucks. But the best ones to go for, if you want 14 scale, is the Tamiya trucks, or Wedico are mostly an all metal. So they cabs are metal, and the chassis and everything, but more metal work than a Tamiya. You can then go also scale up, which is another German company, but then that's another level up again, whereas you're talking for the basic scale art trucks a minimum of £3,000 for a scale art.
What does the basic kit cost?
So a basic kit on this, for standard, say this kit here, twin axle, is about 250 quid.
What do you need in addition?
So that gives you the basic kit. If you want to add the sound system into it, they're roughly around the £300 mark. Obviously then the radio gear, depending on what you want, you can get cheap radio gear, but I find it best, you know, you're spending all that money on the truck, it's best not to cheap out on the radio gear, because some of the cheaper radio gears, like Planet, and things like that, can get swamped out by Spectrum at some shows. I've seen it where the truck's just gone charging off because there's so many Spectrum radios being used. Spectrums basically take over. Originally when I started doing it was before Spectrum, so I've been doing it for a few years, and I was trying to think how to do it on 40 meg. Obviously since the Spectrum's come about, it's making it such an easier task now, so it's coming on. I'm hoping I'll get there with it one day. It takes a while to design it all up, so
Any idea how many people are involved in the hobby?
It's grown a lot over the years. When we first started doing it, we would have maybe 10 or 15 people coming. On average now, when I do a show, we have about 40 drivers.
That's people come on to drive trucks.
Yeah, but also then the amount of clubs around the whole of the UK that now have got layouts and truck members has grown so much. There's a big meeting that we hold sort of like summertime, but it's not for general public. But at the moment, last year's one had 150 drivers at that show. So and that's not even touching on the amount of people who could have actually gone there. So it's grown so much more.
The Facebook page is 2.84. So yeah. So the actual our Facebook page, which is what we have on most of the cards, the banners, and things like that, for people to actually kind of follow us, currently has 2,185 followers. So
yeah, and then whatever shows we go to, so like when we come to St.Albans, advertise the fact that we're coming here like a month, and then as we start getting closer, we put more through. And it's surprising, even just that alone, how many people are coming just to see the truck side of it. So it's quite a good little drawing. Does anyone have any more questions?
When you come to our exhibition and you run everything, is there a script or a master of ceremonies? How does it all work?
No, literally when we turn up, say we set up on the Friday night, generally takes about 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, we normally get away from there for about 10 o'clock, get there at 5, so yeah, 5 hours set up.
But how do you all know what each one of you is doing and it works?
Basically, we just turn up and we drive. So those with the diggers will start doing the digger things, and we just drive around. There's no real plan. Except when we do some of the bigger shows where we've got the soil and that, we can't work out what we're going to do for that.
Well, I mean, if the question is regarding the actual setup of the whole thing in the first place, then the amount of space is given ahead of time.
Yes.
The actual then layout is then designed to fit into that actual area, and the guys there's like a core group of people that know how this stuff goes together and how the actual mats are all laid out. They're the ones that then sort of crack on and actually, here's the plan, this is what we're making. They know what parts are needed, and they'll set up with.
So for example, that's the plan that I draw up. That's the South End show that we did.
Yeah.
They give me a plan. I then sit in CAD and draw it all up. I've got all the bridges, all the raised sections. Because the way we do all the raised sections, all modular. So it means it allows me to build it whichever way. I never do it. Since I've been doing it, I've never done a layout twice. Every time it's always different. So I always do a different layout. I'll never do it the same. Some elements might be close, just basically because of the space that we get.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I always try to make it look different. So yeah. So
is ours large or small?
your layout for that smallish one. The biggest layout that we can do for us is 22 metres by 14 metres. And that's one show that we did that a couple of years down at Bewley, and that took us 12 hours to set up. And only 4 hours to break down. So.
What sort of facility would you ideally like to sort of cost break this side of it, up at the back.
Well, as I say, it'd be nice.
Home.
Yeah, so I mean, we live in Hemel. There's quite a few people in the local area that do the trucks. Ideally, somewhere like up in Chipfield, which I know quite well anyway, which would work quite well for having an outdoor layout.
What would you need, a concrete pad or concrete?
Yeah, I mean, to do that.
Well, not a
No, so what you do is you literally build paths. So about 700mm wide, and you just literally draw. So you draw up like a layout like that, and then you literally cut that into the grass and actually make.
Put a hard material down.
Yeah.
Concrete.
Concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get, and I'm in the process of doing this for my other half, these pads, 500mm square,
Yeah.
through which the grass can grow, but you can park a vehicle on.
All right. Yeah. No, yeah.
They're not that cheap. The ones I've spent, 8 pads, 500 square, are about £35.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, if you were wanting to do it, we'd want to try and do it so it made it actually look like a miniature village. So you plant small trees, have loading dock areas,
Yeah.
bridges, traffic lights,
Yeah.
street lights. You know,
Yeah.
wire it all up electronically.
There's certainly one of the fun things, well, for me anyway, is the fact that the trucks have headlights, they have all the indicators, things like that. And one of the nicest things to see is them actually running around in the dark.
Which is what we do at the Wings and Wheels show. We have an evening session there, which we start when it starts getting dark. We run for a couple of hours. We've got all the street lights on, traffic lights on, all the lights of the trucks, and it completely changes the environment again. You know, you're driving everything in the dark, and it just brings it alive. So that's something which would be quite nice to have somewhere based where we could do it in the evening as well, and have all the lights on, and then it just brings the whole thing to life.
Coming back to the sort of facility you guys really like, would you expect to get any sponsorship from Tamiya?
No, I've tried that over the years. Then, even though the amount that we promote their stuff and the shows that we do, then Hobbyco are not interested in the slightest.
If you went ahead and started putting that sort of layout down, apart from the cost, if everything went pear-shaped, how would it be dismantled and disposed of? Because it sounds like you've got quite a structure you want to put down.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's something that we've been doing over years. I mean, to start with, to come up there, that's why we've also brought along the off-road vehicles.
Yeah.
These are quite a cheap way of getting into RC. This kit here is about 170 quid. Pretty much goes anywhere. It's all wheels are locked. You can pretty much take this anywhere off-road. So you've got like the areas, so you kind of create, to start with, just a basic off-road area, say like up over the tunnel area. That worked quite well, and then in through the trees and things like that. So you can kind of create basic courses like that. You could also even build up a outdoor like buggy track, so 1/10 scale battery, and actually do a tracking amongst the trees and things like that. So the idea of doing the truck road side of it would be something further down the line once we get comfortable with everything and things like that. So I mean, ideally in the long run it'd be nice to have it there as a permanent attraction along with the railways, because there's quite a few. There's a club up in Huddersfield. They've got the boating lake, they've got the train track, and they've got the road. They've all interacted all together. So it's quite a nice thing to have. There's quite a few clubs doing that. There's also another club that down Hereford way actually came to me up at Ali and said, "Oh, we're looking to bring." Exactly what we're trying to do here is to bring the kids into their thing, and they're actually talking about creating a road layout in their puffing area and stuff like that. So it does seem to be a thing that's sort of like populating more and more around by bringing in the electronics and things like that. Because obviously with this you can bring more electronics with your Raspberry Pis and things like that.
You can tinker to your heart's content, quite frankly. Adding in your own bespoke little bits and pieces and writing your own code and doing whatever, such as, I mean, certainly one of the things, if a permanent base was set, having a complete traffic management system in a way. So, I was the one that made the small traffic lights, which quite frankly was bashed up in an evening. But nowadays, I do a lot more complex stuff like that, and would actually like to have a multitude of different traffic lights, but they actually come up on a master system which actually syncs them all up together and things like that. But the trouble is like trying to incorporate something like that into a moving layout. It's very difficult.
Yeah, that's why we're constantly. It all basically lives. The layout lives in my trailer and in my Discovery. So we go around the whole trailer. The layout's all in the trailer. Then all the rest of the stuff's on the roof rack or in the back of my Disco. So that's literally, as you see, the whole layout's wherever we go. Everything is just in that setup. So it's quite a TARDIS in that trailer. It's nearly 2 tons that I'm putting around in the back of it. That's why it's the back end of the Land Rover, because it can take the weight. But yeah, so it's dismantling and rebuilding every time, trying to bring those sort of elements into it is hard.
But it also, being mobile and working in that fashion also puts kind of a lid on what we can do, because we have to maintain that mobility and being able to go everywhere and do everything. But as soon as you have that luxury of a permanent fixture, then of course the possibilities become a bit more endless.
Another question, an observation.
Yes, good.
With all the lights and the sounds you've got one thing missing.
Yeah.
And that's the driver shouting obscenities.
Very true, very true. There is actually a system where you can actually program in your own sounds, and someone's actually got that as a driver around that it does say stuff. I won't repeat what they put into it, but yeah, he has actually done that. So there are systems out there that you can actually program in and flick it on your transmit and flick a switch, and it does play sounds like that. So it is doable. It is.
The thing that I'd like to see a bit more of is the mechanical side of these things. I mean,
Yes.
I suppose quite different from ordinary vehicle. I mean, there are differentials and drive shafts.
Yes, they do. I mean, the easiest way to do that would be maybe once.
You look underneath them,
Yeah, I think the easiest way to do that is maybe once you have a tea break, come and have a little look, and we'll show you a little bit more in depth. Because try and hold it up to the guys at the back and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got full differentials. You can lock them as well if you really want to, which I've got on the Disco here. The rear diff's locked on it, which allows it to give you more strength, but makes the turning circle wider. But yeah, got full differential gearboxes. So they're quite an engineering. You've got to sit and build up the gearbox as well, build up the diffs.
Well, they've got a proper gearbox.
Yeah, free speed gearbox, which is in there. So that's a 3-speed gearbox, which then comes out to the drive shaft at the back, into the back here. So yeah, there's quite a lot involved. I think it's, as I say,
Complete with the clutch?
have a little look at it later on.
And do you make your own mechanical components, do you?
Some bits I have done. I've on the Volvo there, I've modified my own axles up. So I've got a CNC machine that I use in my garage. So I sit and design all that up into CAD. Put that in. There's another truck that's the same. The trailer I'm building up. That's got going to have all the electronics and mechanics in there to move the car decks and everything.
What machines you've got then? You're using CAD CAM?
Yeah, CAD-CAM, yeah. Yeah.
Can you get any retro kits, say 49 Bedford lorry?
There isn't any. There's some people that are actually starting to draw them up and sell them as kits to fit onto the Tamiya chassis. So there's some people who've done them by hand, just some of the old Pritchard trucks.
Yeah.
Up at the shows. Some of the shows that we go to up in Lincoln, he's actually got an old Scammell, got some of the old Fodens, and actually done that, but on the Tamiya chassis. So they put the chassis and then scratch built their body. Someone down in Kent who's actually built an old AEC double-decker bus as well, which has got the lights in it, and even when he comes to stop, put a bell in it to make ding ding. But he's got it down. It works really well. It's pretty much you can take the electronics and the chassis and then put whatever you want on top of it. It's really endless on what you can do with them. Really.
And do people produce magazines about this? I mean, you think of a model railway layouts, things like Engage.
Yeah,
And they produce magazines, you know.
There's a magazine called Truck Model World, but the RC side of it comes into a little bit. They're mostly based around the static, so like 1/35 scale or 1/50 scale and things like that. So it's a lot of static models in the Truck Model World. They do touch on the trucks a little bit, the RC. You've also got a Tamiya magazine, again, mostly their car side, buggy side, with a little bit on the truck. So there's not one which is dedicated purely to the RC truck range.
What scale are most of these?
So the trucks and the smaller cars than that are 1/14 scale. Those two there are 1/10 scale. So 1/14, yes. So I say these here started out as kids' toys. Basically ripped out the cheap electronics inside it, put a proper speed controller in there, proper servo in there, and then with the proper receiver, which then allows you to have the finer control to drive around. Otherwise, as you know, the kids' toys will just go stop, left, right, and that's it. But they're quite easy to modify. So to do one of those, you buy the kids' toy, it's normally about 25 quid. Radio gear, servo and that, you're looking for like 30 quid. So for about 60, 70 quid, you can have yourself a car which is the right scale and is more controllable than what it would be when it first started out life. That's what the range, the Discovery there, the Police Discovery, that started out as a kid's toy, and that's been heavily modified with the lights and everything to turn into a police vehicle. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit quick. Yeah, so it catches the kids' imagination a little bit more. What you can see on the road every day.
You've mentioned scales so far. I've heard 14, 10,
yes.
16.
Yeah.
Does anyone go for 12?
There are some on 12 scale models, but not a lot. The main ones with the trucks are 14th in the UK and that, and some of the German side of it is 16th scale.
It's interesting, given that, Doll's House is a 12.
Yes.
And our 5-inch gauge is just 12.
Yeah, I know.
And they don't match up.
It's something, I think Tamiya basically, Wedico's been around for a long time, they've been doing it 1/16. Tamiya obviously didn't want to do it 1/16, so they just went 2 up, and hence the 1/14 scale was born. It's literally, Tamiya were the first people to do the 1/14 scale in '94, but before that it was all 1/16, which was for the Germans. So it's a bit like HO versus 187 versus 176. It's the same kind of situation, really.
There's also 8 scale in Germany.
There are, in Germany there is 8 scale. But you can imagine how big a layout you need for one of those.
That's actually getting closer to 7 inch, so that would scale up.
Yeah, I mean, out in Dortmund where they have a layout up there, it's impressive to watch the 8 scale trucks driving around. You know, but not only they've got trucks like this though, they've also got all the diggers and all the wheel loaders at 8 scale as well, and they are huge.
Have you ever experimented with driverless trucks, i.e. no one at the radio control?
No, we haven't done that, but we have done first person with a camera in the truck, with someone sat in the pit area driving the truck, you know, nowhere near what's going on. You've done that a few times, haven't you?
It works really well.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre actually. You just watch, you can see the truck going around, but there's no one driving it, and it's it's quite.
In some ways, it's actually easier to drive the truck by having a small camera mounted up in. Usually I'm mounted actually inside the cab, so then you're completely oblivious to the fact that there is a camera inside that, but actually giving the perspective from the road, as it were.
It's about servo on it, so you can actually turn your head and it turns as well.
It makes actually driving these things a lot easier.
You actually get the mirrors to shine up quite nicely, and you can just about see a reflection in your mirrors as well.
Yeah, it's a twist on conventional ways of driving. So, but no, a driverless system.
That's a job for a Raspberry Pi, isn't it? Really, with good
When
GPS.
get started, you'll actually try doing it. You will.
Back to that,
Well, these lithium batteries seem very efficient.
Yeah, lithium. Yeah, I mean, I use nickel metal batteries.
he avoids the the lithium side, whereas I'm more embrace the lithium side because I also do drone flying as well. So I'm also in the air as well as the ground, as well known.
With lithium batteries, I've got a lithium battery shaper.
Yeah.
It run for hours.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Because
I mean, another thought for up at Puffyfield is also Mike does flying, so like does the racing with the drones, and this is one of his that he's got.
Yeah, so when I come over to the school here, I'm the one that's out on the field. I'm the one flying the drones, keeping the kids entertained on that side of things.
Was it you at Gatwick?
No. But thank you for checking. I'd like to emphasise how quick I was on responding to that in case anybody actually does ask. So no, I mean that's the sort of thing that I'm used to flying.
So that's where lithium batteries.
Yeah, so we've got the weight advantage of having the lithium, but more importantly, between the whole battery sort of side of life is the fact that lithium can obviously deliver high current very quickly and deal with that, whereas the nickel metals, they really don't enjoy high current loads, but they can produce a good steady current supply. Because I mean, these trucks won't really draw a huge amount of current even when they are under load. You're talking maybe 6-7 amps top, whereas on this I've actually managed to draw 50 amps. But yeah, when I was drawing 50 amps, it was travelling around about 70 miles an hour across the field. And at that point, I completely bottled it and it just lifted off very quickly and sort of come to a stop and came back and landed and said, "Yep, that's me done today." Yeah. I mean, that thing screams. But that's the other sort of side of what I do. When I'm not driving the trucks around. So, but again, I've got a few people that are interested in flying these sorts of things. They don't cost much. It's again finding a place to actually operate these things seems to be the bigger challenge.
Well, yes, there's a big problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, because of so-called numpty, shall we put them down as flying near airports, because that seems to be the thing to do these days. It does cause problems for those that actually want to use them for recreation. I mean, I've actually got a CAA commission for commercial work with drones.
Yeah.
So, I've had to go through the whole exams and pay for the fees and everything like that. I've got an operations manual which adheres to the CAA policies and everything else. And then you find these people just flying near airports and you just,
You've got to have some sort of licence to fly a tour, haven't you?
No. So when it's down to weight. So when they're this size and this weight, they're deemed as hobbies. Very much similar to airplanes and model helicopters and things like that. But when they start getting up into the heavier weight categories and also carrying cameras which are recording, that's when the situation changes. So it's really when it comes down to actually filming and recording, then you need to start.
But for a normal model aircraft, which wasn't quite big.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen one crash into a tree once.
Yeah.
Rather dangerous, but I mean, it could be dangerous to bystanders. You have to have a licence to do that, don't you?
Licence, no. Insurance, yes.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, which is all covered under the whole BFA.
It's costly, that size.
This sort of size, yes and no. You can get ones for this sort of size which would set you back no more than about £60-70. But that is taking into account again the whole radio gear argument.
Yeah.
So this is going back to this, treat yourself to a good radio gear and then it can be used for everything. So I use that same transmitter on my truck, my cars, my plane, drone, whatever. It's the same one I use across all of them. So the drone itself, you can get them from £60. This one is dearer, it's got carbon fibre, make it lighter. It is a proper racing spec drone, and that one is more around the £200 mark. So,
That one at Gatwick, would that have been larger than that?
It would have been larger.
It
would have been larger.
Well, usually Chapman comes up with a pretty large, looks like a metal one with a camera. staying underneath it?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Depends who's asking.
No, because you come to our exhibition.
Yes,
It is me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
got a big chunk of metal, hasn't it?
It is, yeah, and if
It
it
is
hit you on the head, you would know about it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I mean, not to bore you, I mean, one of the biggest jobs I've done was actually filming a music video, pop music video, in a lavender field, which, yeah, that seemed like a good idea at the time. And it was using our biggest drone that we actually had, and the in-air weight of the craft at that point in time was 17 kilos. Value of the drone in the air was around about £55,000. And yes, I was laying various things at the time of flying, just because it was worth more than, well, anything else I've ever gone near, really. So yeah, I've flown some very big and expensive toys, models, crafts.
Yeah.
Whatever carrier you'd like to stick things under these days. But it's, yeah, so, you know, that sort of stuff you can go little money or massive money.
Yeah, a couple of things. One about drone racing.
Yeah.
Do you have? I've seen it on the television where they're wearing these.
The whole goggle side of things. Yeah, there's two kind of breeds of drone racers. You've got those that love the goggles, which quite frankly freaks me out, or those that have a small screen which you look at, which is more my style, just because I love that ability to be able to look up and actually place myself in the real world. Whereas if you are looking through the goggles, you are purely seeing what that sees. And trust me, on the racing drones, the camera is not stabilised. It is just literally hard mounted on the drone. And in actual fact, these ones it's actually mounted at an angle where it's actually designed to be that level. So it's meant to be flying forwards constantly. As soon as you level off to come to a stop, you're actually just looking at the sky, so you're not really sure where you are. So yeah, they're designed to be constantly moving forwards, which means that when you're sort of banking and turning, you are getting that complete roll. So if you've got that on your goggles, yeah, if you suffer from motion sickness, it's not great. It's a great way of throwing up really quickly. Because yeah, you can do flips, rolls, somersaults and everything else, and you can sit there and do very crazy things with these and make yourself feel quite sick. So yeah, I tend to stick with screens.
The other thing was you've mentioned the UK with the trucks, Germany, and Tamiya, I presume, is Japanese, isn't
it? Tamiya is Japanese, yes.
You haven't mentioned the US. You know, I would have thought that was something that would be.
No, the US doesn't actually have any.
That's wrong.
No, it's basically the trucks themselves first started really out in Germany. That's the starting point of the model trucks through Weddico. And out in Germany, they've got so many different companies now that make different types of models, like scale up, do high precision, getting 16th scale models, but with full hydraulics. You've got Damet, who basically do like diggers and that. You've got Primacon, again, they're diggers, but they're 14th scale. So all the big companies that do the RC, more so the construction side of it, are all based in Germany. There's a few Italian companies as well that do it, but stateside, no, they pretty much import everything in from Europe. Yeah. Then the other companies, say Carson, again that's a German company, which has teamed up with Tamiya to make the different types of trailers. So yeah, so really it's, the whole truck side of it is mainly based from the German starting point, really.
We've done the round once we had Brexit in.
Yeah.
In the US, I know that Caterpillar don't like a model produced with Caterpillar on it.
No,
is it what's the situation in Germany with the truck manufacturers there?
Well, as I say, all the trucks like the Volvo, Mercedes, are all fully licensed models.
Oh, they are licensed?
Yes, yeah. So the latest Volvo that's coming out in March, that's a fully licensed model. If you look on the Mercedes Benz boxes, so they've got the Actros and the Arcos trucks. It's actually got the Mercedes holographic logo on the boxes. Same with these toy cars are done by a company out in Japan again called Razstar, but but these are actually licensed models as well. So they've actually got a proper Land Rover. They've just brought out the Land Rover Defender in this scale as well, 90. And they do so many different models at the 14th scale, you know, that actually work so well with the cars, with the trucks, and it all ties in very nicely. So you can see why Rastar went with the 14th scale, because they saw the match up with the trucks.
And presumably to get that license, it has to be to their approvals.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways where I used to do the toy industry and that, where we had to get approvals and things. It's quite a route in, but once you kind of get in there, you can actually get the licenses quite easily.
Yeah.
But it's proving your work as a company to make something that is accurate and sell correctly and do it right. But if you can get that license going, then it means you're going to get a proper model rather than something that's a copycat.
You ever get in the field with military vehicles, you know, tanks?
Yes, so yeah, Tamiya do all the tank range, but so they're in 1/16 scale on the tanks. But they've been doing tanks as long as, well, in fact, I think their first tanks were in the 70s.
Well, I think I've seen this.
Yeah, so
But some of them fire shells or something.
yeah, so I think the Tiger tank was the first one. Yeah, but they've been around since the 70s, Tamiya tanks. But they're still doing brand new modern ones. I've got a Leopard 2 A6 tank. Still yet to build it, but it's quite a model. It's 2 instruction books and so much stuff. So it's,
really.
yeah, I need a lot of space to build that one. I still haven't got the space to build it yet.
I have the space, just not the time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, the tank range, and then people then take like the scanning truck and then the low loader, paint them into like military things, and then turn that into a tank transporter. So you can kind of like, and it doesn't look too bad on the layout. 1/16 by 14, it's noticeable on the trucks when you've got the 2 together, but with the tank side of it, you don't really notice it. So running them around on the layout works quite well. With one show we did down in Beauty, we had one side we had the tanks, and we had our layout on one end, and we had a little bit of a mishmash in the middle between the 2, which worked all right actually. So, but yeah, tanks are quite interesting, and they're very complex kits actually. They really are. Yeah, especially the latest ones, what Tamiya have done.
Tracks as well.
Yeah, and they've got all the sound units, so similar sort of modules in here. You've also got like IR systems in it, so you can like fight against each other, and then it disables the other tank. So again, that's something that you could do up in the field. If you can turn it into like a little tank battle zone. So, yeah.
You mentioned replacing the Tamiya motors with
Yes.
because the Tamiya's too fast.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the same problem with Tamiya tanks. They're just too fast, but the same motors fit in the
Yes, standard 540 motor. So you can take out standard silk, as they call silver can motors, and put in a higher torque. So you know, I think these are about 55 turn motor. I mean, you can go higher, you can go 80 turn. So I've got a rock crawler at home. It's not one of these ones, but I've got an 80 turn in there, which obviously doesn't go very fast, but it gives you the torque to be able to get up some really steep hills. That one in there's got a 60 torque.
The problem with a brush motor, it's so much less efficient than a
Yes.
brushless motor, so your battery won't last as long.
Exactly, yeah.
And but you can get some quite low speed brushless motors now. They use them in Cornwall model boats is where I get them from.
Yes,
and they will run to quite low.
Originally, brushless were the fast side, but they are now trying.
Far too fast.
Yeah.
But I found the 540 far too fast. I had to rewind it, to use in my model.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that on the trucks, you don't really need brushless motors because.
Yes, you do.
Anyway. I don't think you do. You just need the high torque, is what you need, especially when you put in the weight.
Yes, I mean,
it's like when you put it in your neck.
I can get it to idle at 800 RPM, and it'll go up to I think about 16,000 or something.
Yeah.
But it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, with the trucks, you just need that torque to be able to pull the weight, especially going up the hills and things like that. When you've got a lot of weight behind. Yeah.
Did you say you could get buses and coaches as well?
You can't get them as kits, but many people have built their own. So some people like taking plans and actually sat and drawn up actually made their own.
Not by the right those.
Yeah, they've basically bought a kit, so then taken the chassis and then modified that and turned that into a coach and some coaches. Especially out in Hong Kong, they've actually done a lot of double-decker buses. There's some pictures of a meet what they did out there, and there was about 20 or so double-decker buses. It looked quite impressive actually, but all running on these chassis.
Are the chassis similar between you?
They're basically the same.
I can see the wheelbase and maybe track.
Yeah, but wheelbases are all different. The American trucks have their steering set up slightly different. So on this one's here, it's set up slightly different ways. It's got a standard bar, whereas on the Euro rigs, the way that Tamiya did it originally, they had it going across the front with the standard bar, but then you can get a modification, which is what I've done on here. So it puts it back onto the back, so which then drops it, so it runs underneath the gearbox, which then allows you to get the sharper steering that you need. On the standard kit, if you use the standard steering, it's nowhere near as sharp as on the.
Yeah. I think certainly one of the takeaways from these models is the fact that they are kit form. The actual kits themselves are very similar until you get to a certain point. So the actual chassis rails, things like that, aluminium, nice. If you want to be able to add additional things to them, of course, drill it, tap it, off you go. You can use that as a fantastic starting point to basically build whatever you want on top of them. And that is realistically the key to where the success has been for those that are more enthusiastic about model making and actually custom building things. They are fantastic starting points for the chassis to be able to put your own imaginative twist to anything really. So that's the key.
Yeah, there's no limit for what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Where would you go to buy all this stuff?
That's the other problem. Model shops are disappearing, as we all know. So most of it's all online. Company I use basically quite a lot is Fusion Hobbies, and actually donated me that truck so I could use it for the kids. They're quite a good model shop. They're based up in Kettering direction. There's some local model shops. Ours Hobbies is another one that does stock the truck range. They're in Milton Keynes.
Is that place in Hemel High Street still?
They've long gone. There's no model town. The closest.
No, I was thinking there was a Tamiya distributor.
Yeah, Ryco. Comes from, that disappeared years ago. That used to be, we used to go down there a lot, didn't we? We really did. Yeah. I think we've been there too much actually when we were younger. It all started in 87 for us for radio control.
You know it's serious when you walk into a shop and they go, "Oh, you again?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Compliment or insult?
Yeah, they're quite good. You get all the spares and everything from there. It's
You
very
mentioned
handy.
earlier, or in the beginning, that you aren't a club as such.
No, so
I
I myself run Tamiya trucking as basically myself. So all the layout and all that I fund myself. Any money that little truck there brings in gets put back into layout, and I've pretty made it now so it's pretty much buoyant on itself. So it covers the fuel for me going to shows. So it doesn't actually cost me anything.
You don't meet like us, like.
No, because most of the members of our group come from all over. Like the show that we just went to up at Warwick, some of the guys were coming from Wales, Kent, the Midlands area.
More a national thing, I think.
Yeah, it is really, because of the shows that I go to are literally around the country. Most of it's in the south. The highest one I go to is up at Warwick, and then it's down in Kent, quite a few shows, North Wales.
But if you were in our place, how would that work then? Would you all meet?
Quite a few of the people do travel. There was a group that met in Milton Keynes quite a lot, but they've recently closed because the guy who was running it moved up to Lincoln. So there's quite a few people who are in the Milton Keynes and Bedford sort of areas now that have got nowhere to go. So quite a lot of those people do come to my events, especially the St.Albans one. I get quite a lot of local, most of the people at St.Albans, there's quite a lot of local people come to that.
You two are it really, are you? You're the club.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, as it goes, myself and got a friend who's in High Wycombe as well,
Right.
and Aylesbury. So,
But it gets around to that point of realistically the only meet up is when an event is organised, because you know, being able to meet up like this, for instance, you know, it would.
Yeah, I mean, when we do meet up, I do it at my house. You know, it's.
Is there a federation that you all belong to, Jen?
No, not really. I mean, you've got the BRCA, which covers us for when we go driving. That covers us for insurance and things like that. So part of the BRCA.
BRCA being
British Radio Control Association. So you basically, if you're driving a radio control car anywhere, so on the beach, anything like that, if something happens, you're covered by insurance. I also race buggies as well. So that covers me to allow me to race actually competitively as well. Whereas then with Mike, because he flies, you've got BMFA, which is the Flying Association. But then that's slightly more expensive. The BRCA is £20 a year. The BMFA is about £35 a year. So that covers Mike then for flying his drones and also the hot model miniature hot air balloon, which he's just got.
Yeah, because that'll set things on fire. Good.
you had that at the show.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine, he was the one that kept on rocking up with umpteen balloons, and then I decided to join in and get one of them myself. That was clever. Yeah, because I thought, why not? So yeah, now I'm part of the whole model balloon group as well, because I didn't have enough to do.
Well, that sort of one, I guess, involved in other things.
It's certainly, literally, as soon as I got it, I had people messaging me saying, would you like to come along to our event? And I was just like, all right, hold on. So, but in fairness to that side of life, it's I've been invited to sort of like the Midlands Balloon Fiesta, the Bristol Balloon Fiesta and things like that to come along and actually stay with them and camp over, and they actually kind of cover most of the fees and things, so it's very nice. And also I get to join in with some of the evening balloon glows and things like that with the model balloon, so yeah, that's a whole new world, that is, I tell you.
Yeah. So yeah, as for meeting for ourselves, no, it's something we do. My next show that I'm setting up is not now till the end of June at Wings and Wheels at North Weald Aerodrome, last weekend of June. So, but yeah, we do have quite a few people who are local. So, yeah.
Just a technical question on the tyres. Any idea what composition of rubber is used in those tyres?
No, we have actually tried making our own at work once. It's quite tricky.
Because you want something that's got high friction, you know, against normal surfaces. You don't want to use natural rubber because that will degrade.
Yeah, exactly. It's the rubber that I use on this is, I mean, well, these tyres on here are the original ones from '94. So
really?
Yeah. These are not been up. These are the original tyres. Looks like tees up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's right. But then afterwards we'll
yeah.
So
take your time.
Have refreshments and then we'll go in.
Yeah. Have a closer, and then come and have a closer look at it.
Spare tyre and
Mechanics are similar in these ways, aren't they?
Repair of all they've been doing. You get things break down and mend them. That's the thing, that's the thing that's going to worry the committee more than anything.
Yeah. There's no.
So be careful about it. All officers and leaders and things.
We had a good hour, not far short of an hour, looking around the models. But anybody, any more questions?
I just sorry I missed your robot wars. I didn't realise it.
Yeah, Robot was 20 years we've been doing that.
Really?
98 we started.
You continue?
Yeah, our next show is Burgess Hill, end of March. Did a lot of live shows. Obviously cancelled the Robot Wars TV side again. They did the 3 series. Yeah, so we went to 2004, was off the air, came back on 2016, did three more series, and now it's again. So, but no, we still do a lot of shows around the UK, all the like sports halls and places like that.
Who is we?
My brother, myself, and 2 other team members.
So you're a couple of busy lads, aren't you? Flying aeroplanes.
Yeah, and also I mess around with Land Rovers a lot as well.
That's so you must come to the auction next week. Always have things for repairing Land Rovers.
And he's just
old spanners and hammers.
And he's just married.
That's the 2 G4 Land Rovers on here. Go with my big one out there.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Mike and Ann and Ted. And please show your appreciation